We have a huge problem right now with getting court-appointed attorneys.
There are limited attorneys who practice in tribal courts.
We have a very, very serious attorney shortage in the state of Michigan.
Buju Wabadase Koyandashnakaz, Gnu and Dodem, Odawa Anishinaabe Koyandal, Kitchu Koydang and Dunjaba, Peshabi Town and Dida, Nisingai Gwendeji Madeo. The tribes in Michigan are known as the Three Fires Confederacy. That includes the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi peoples. Once the treaties were signed, that broke up the Three Fires Confederacy as three individual nations, and then we were created and known as bands. In the state of Michigan, the 12 federally recognized tribes, legally and technically then, we are our own individual tribes or nations now. There's many reasons why we don't have court representation. There are non-native attorneys that believe the justice system in tribal courts is so different that they aren't comfortable practicing, or they don't understand how to become an attorney in the tribal court.
It's really very similar to how the state or the federal courts work.
In large part, that has to do with development of federal Indian law.
I mean, you kind of just take what you learn from law school and make sure that you're consulting with the rules. And the rules are very similar, if not identical, to a lot of state court rules.
The tribe also has catch-all provisions, both in criminal law and in other areas of the law, where if they don't have anything that applies, then you can look to state law to fill in the gaps.
If you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to go into tribal court and it's going to be so different, that's probably not right. You're probably going to go into tribal court and you're going to have a similar feeling, and it's going to really resemble what a state court looks like. There can be procedural differences, but there's huge procedural differences in state courts in Michigan.
It's really not any different than familiarizing yourself with how another county may do things.
The diversity among state courts, so jurisdiction to jurisdiction, is just as broad as the diversity of tribal courts from jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
It's a very unique court and covers a wide variety of cases, many of which are handled with a restorative justice view to them.
It's a place where we are able to use restorative justice, we're able to resolve conflict, and we are able to then hopefully change lives.
It's pretty likely that any lawyer coming out of law school today in Michigan is at some point in their life going to encounter a case that either has something to do with a tribal court or has to do with someone that has an interaction with a tribe.
And it's a great way for new attorneys to be exposed to new laws and to also get their feet wet a little bit, you know? They don't have to go out and find those clients. So if you're fresh out of law school, court-appointed work is a great opportunity.
People are friendly and usually trying to accommodate and very professional. Another thing that surprised me about tribal courts is they're extremely punctual. So I was used to having like a 15-minute to 4-hour wait to have a motion heard.
It's an asset to have experience in tribal court, especially here in Michigan. The tribes are already huge economic players, and that's just going to increase.
I've been in multiple state courts, but this was a completely different feel to it. It felt much more welcoming, and it felt right.
My quality of life is much higher. I have more time with my children, I have more vacation time, I have more flexible hours, I get better benefits. I think to me, especially where I am right now in my life, that's worth a lot more
I found that the clerks are usually very helpful. The judges are typically understanding and they're appreciative of the fact that you're there.
Non-tribal defendants have to have a court-appointed lawyer under the Violence Against Women Act in tribal court. And so there's just going to be more of a need.
Attorneys that are willing to do court-appointed work, they don't have to be in the area because utilization of Zoom for tribal court, we don't care where you're from. As long as you are licensed, if you're willing to do it and we can accommodate you.
I would just encourage anybody who's considering working in the tribal court system to go for it, try it out.
When I think about it, I'm like, I don't know what kind of pay it would take to get me excited about working like 90-hour weeks again and never having weekends. So I feel as though the work I do on a daily basis is more rewarding and my quality of life is higher.
Clearly, each court has its own code and rules, but they're fairly close to the state court. They're easily accessible, and anybody who wants to practice in tribal court, if they spend a little bit of time and check online, they can gather the information they need to work here, and I think you'll find it a very rewarding experience.